It's more fun to watch Julie's face going on the air. Good morning. It is Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. You guys miss all the fun. It happens before the show and after it, but it's fun to watch Julie Koger's face as she makes faces at me trying to get us on the air. Welcome to Java with Jerry. We're glad you're here every Wednesday. We're delighted to join you every week from the penthouse suite of Stadium Towers here in the Platinum Triangle in Anaheim, and to share a little bit about what's going on in the world and certainly what's going on locally, and to bring you great guests like we have today. Today, our guest, little teaser for you, is Jim Vanderpool, who is the erudite city manager of Buena Park, and we're going to talk about all kinds of interesting things. I have, of course, way too much to ask him. As always, I write too much of a show for all my friends, but we will get to that. You can always find these shows if you're not watching live on Orange Slice. That's probably where you picked it up, or you might have picked it up on YouTube because it's there too. Or maybe you're a listener, not a watcher. You like to hear these things as a podcast while you're working out in the gym or walking the dog. All of that's fine with us. You can get it on Podbean, sign up on orangeslice.com, and listen to it rather than watch it. Our feature at the end of the show will be about a dumb criminal. Found a fun one that we will do today, and of course most of the show will be dedicated to Jim, so we can talk about things going on in Buena Park and around Orange County. Let's do the news. Our national story, in great news for the American economy, the president has renegotiated us out of NAFTA, which is good for manufacturing. People said it couldn't be done. Well, he did it, and apparently whatever deal he made has the Mexican president just doing backflips. He wanted to toast him with tequila and says he wants to give him a big hug, which is news because usually the Mexican presidents don't like to hug American presidents, but they are apparently good buds over whatever it is they negotiated, and it's supposed to be great for manufacturing. The big shift, of course, was that it shifts a lot of the economic benefit to this side of the border. That's good for the United States, and it's good really for our relationship with Canada, with Mexico, but it left Canada out in the cold. So immediately the day that the deal is announced between the Mexican and American presidents' consulates, the negotiator for Canada cuts short an overseas trip and hot-foots it back to Washington, D.C. And she says, I've forgotten her name, I think it's Ms. Freeman, that she's going to be working overtime in D.C. to see if they can get Canada to be part of this deal. And of course, that makes sense for them. Much of it's surrounding the auto industry, but larger portions of the products that are built in all those countries will be from American products and from American parts, and with labor that will be making at least $16 an hour, which also favors our labor pool. So that's a good thing. You got to love how the president just whips it on his allies, and the next thing you know, they blink. And by the way, Mexico, if you weren't looking, you just made a down payment on the wall. Thank you for renegotiating NAFTA. And once again, everybody was wrong about what Trump can and can't do. I don't know how he gets away with the stuff he does, but he does. All right, state story. Let's talk about a bill that the governor signed, which has just got to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. So he signs a bill that says there will be no more cash bail in the legal system, and instead, within 12 hours, we will make a determination about whether to put nonviolent predators back on the street again. Let me explain what they mean by nonviolent. They mean their last arrest was nonviolent. Maybe they just stole something under $950 and got a ticket, or maybe they got caught stealing something a little higher than $950 and they got arrested, but that was nonviolent. But if you look at their rap sheet, you'll find out that they're really quite violent as criminals. So anyway, we're going to do away with bail effective October of 2019. Within 12 hours, we'll have to make a determination, some judge will, or a panel, whoever they're going to put together, about whether or not we're going to put bail on that arrest. So that'll give them 12 hours in time in jail, which is just enough time for them to grab a shower, grab a hot meal, take a nap, get released, start processing back out again, get on the street, and be back in your neighborhoods, back to whatever it is that they're doing: drug dealing, drug trafficking, human trafficking, whatever these useless members of our society are up to. So stay tuned on that one. You know that that's going to turn into a huge fight, not only a legal fight with all the cities, but you're going to have everybody in the bail bonds industry that are going to be putting together an effort to throw this new law out. So it'll probably end up being a ballot measure, and if it is, I hope our firm has something to do with it. That story could have qualified for you can't make this stuff up. What are we doing? Why are we taking away cash bail? All right, let's talk about some local news. Here's some good news for you. The Orange International Street Fair will be back this weekend. That's right, it's Labor Day weekend. And so our friends in the city of Orange will be having their street fair where they serve food from all over the world. This is a great fundraising opportunity for their nonprofits. They only get about 500,000 of your closest friends in the streets over the weekend in Old Town Orange, in the plaza and the surrounding streets. Please call it the plaza. Don't call it the circle. They get offended in Orange when you call it the circle. So don't miss a chance to go there. Great food, an opportunity to help a bunch of great nonprofits and to assist that community have a good time. So you'll have fun doing it. All right, finally, a sports story. That's right, what's this Saturday? It's the kickoff of the football season, at least for the Bruins. They will be hosting the Cincinnati Bearcats at the Rose Bowl, the beginning of our 2018 season, and the beginning of the Chip Kelly era as our coach. And so we're looking forward to it. And once again, I will be in the shadows of the Arroyo Secos this weekend. Game kicks off at 4 o'clock, so we'll probably get out there about 9-ish. I understand on the menu is Bearcat ribs, so we're going to be barbecuing some ribs and some corn and having a good time. Come by and see us. We're at number 1 Rose Bowl Drive. Can't miss us. We're right there on Arroyo Boulevard, Rose Bowl Drive. All right, go Bruins. Beat the Bearcats. I'm going to introduce my guest, my friend Jim Vanderpool, while he makes his way here and gets comfortable juggling his coffee and his notes. Come on in, Jim. And I will tell you a little bit about him from his bio. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, Jerry.
Good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so here's what you need to know about Jim Vanderpool. He has been city manager in Buena Park since 2012. He had more than 17 years of service to the city. He was deputy city manager before his appointment as city manager, and in that role took care of the internal support services division, including human resources, risk management, and purchasing. He also was responsible in his role to take care of the city's Convention and Visitor Bureau communications and marketing efforts. He has rebranded Buena Park as a destination, as many of you know, helping increase its visibility in tourism and attract millions of visitors to Buena Park. Prior to his role as deputy city manager, he was assistant to the city manager, and there he oversaw the Orange County Fire Authority, Animal Control Services, was responsible for legislative advocacy, working closely with the county, state, and federal representatives to ensure that Buena Park's voice was heard. Even before that, he was in their Public Works Department, so he administered their capital improvement projects and administered the city's maintenance operations. He holds a bachelor's degree in public administration and a master's in business administration. So he has many talents and has done many things in the city. And I want to sort of start there because I don't think people recognize, Jim, what city managers do. They forget what their role is. Really, you're the CEO of a big municipal corporation. You got a board of directors, you got shareholders. We just give them different names. So talk a little bit about what the role is in the corner office of the city.
Well, thank you, Jerry. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, I mean, the best way to kind of look at what I do and what my colleagues do is that we are the CEO of the company, right? So we report to the board of directors, in this case, the mayor and the city council. 34 of Orange County cities have 34 CEOs, just like they have 34 mayors and city council members. And so we work at the pleasure of those elected officials. And we then hire the organization. So just like you would in a private company, hire all the department heads, we hire the police chief, the fire chief, public works director, city engineer, parks and rec director, finance director, planning director, all of the different functions of a city. Many of our cities have utilities, water, sewer, storm drain systems, so we administer all of those in addition to our just regular municipal duties of a common city. So very much analogous to what you're talking about, Jerry. We really are kind of a CEO of the company.
Yeah, except that your employees, half of your employees carry guns and get into really dangerous situations, and you have all kinds of interesting things happen in your city. Sometimes your county gives you a little bonus. We'll talk a little bit about what's happened with homelessness in the county and what you guys have had to tackle and surround yourselves with. But really, it's a complex area, and because of your decades in public service now, you've really done a lot of it. You did public works, you've done a lot with public safety, you certainly have had to deal with finance as a city manager, and a complex budget and a changing scheme all the time because the county and the feds and the state are sometimes throwing curveballs at you. How do you manage keeping all the balls in the air, and how do you make sure you hire hire the right people in the right departments? What are you looking for?
You know, Jerry, every day is different. You know, and so and the variety of the kinds of tasks that we do vary from day to day as well. I mean, we don't manufacture a widget and just produce the widget day after day. You know, we keep our streets safe. You know, our police forces are certainly biased here, but you know, among the best in the nation. Orange County is very blessed to have, you know, strong public safety. But you know, fixing potholes, just all the different services that we provide, and you know, I think it's just a matter of, like you say, hiring the right people, listening to your constituents, and most importantly, listening to your policymakers, listening to your council members, and making sure that their priorities are actually happening on the streets in our cities.
Having the right people in those departments is critical, because you know, you wake up one morning and you hear, you know, we had a problem in a park, something, you know, fell apart and a kid got hurt, or you know, somebody got drunk last night and they took out a power pole and half the city's dark and the utilities working on it, and you've got to deal with that crisis when you really went in. You were going to talk about your budget that day, right? You had meetings with your budget.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit about some new city managers. You have some new colleagues among the 34, and I know you guys get together and have lunch and conspire behind our backs about what you're going to do next. So
maybe a little bit.
Yeah. So tell me about your new colleagues.
You know, the Orange County city managers, just like, as you know, the Orange County elected officials, you know, we're a unique, tight group. You know, we don't always agree, but you know, we work hard for the people of Orange County. Our borders kind of flow back and forth, right? So
oftentimes citizens don't know what city they're in.
It's true. So we're really you know, excited to welcome 2 new city managers to our 2 largest cities. So in Irvine, John Russo has just taken the reins in Irvine, and so we're excited to welcome him in our Orange County city manager family. And similarly in Anaheim, Chris Zapata, new city manager in Anaheim. And so 2 big jobs, 2 great people, and we're excited to welcome them to Orange County.
Yeah, and 2 cities with a lot of complexity going on, tons of stuff going on. They're big job bases and they're huge for the economy, and so it matters, it ripples. And actually your city touches one, and you work closely with them on a number of fronts. So, I talked a little bit about public safety, but the North County cities have done something unique with public safety. They got a grant out of the legislature and they put together a group. Talk a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and I'll put a plug in here for our police chief, Corey Sinus, who really took kind of the lead on this. And so 6 of
welcome, Chief.
6 of North Orange County cities got together to collaborate to look at how we can deal with crime collectively in our communities. And so, as Jerry mentioned, we got a sizable grant, and a big chunk of that went right back into some of our community-based organizations, some of your Boys and Girls Clubs, other organizations that help keep kids off our streets and keeping them busy, doing things that are good for their futures instead of, you know, kind of falling through the cracks. And so that was a great effort. But also, you know, we added 2 new police officers as a result of that grant.
Oh, is that right? Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, these
more boots on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we're excited about this collaboration. Like I mentioned, Jerry, our borders just are very gray.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if a criminal or a bad guy is running around, you know, we're 6 cities as a whole. We're kind of keeping tabs on them and working collectively to keep our community safe.
And not just in public safety. You guys have done a bunch with Beach Boulevard all along that stretch for all the cities that share a major arterial. I mean, when I was a kid, that's the way you got to Huntington Beach to go surfing. Was you took Whittier Boulevard out of the St. Gabriel Valley, went down beach, and it just got tired. But you guys have really done a lot. Talk a little bit about what you're doing to that street and how each of the city managers are then sort of doing economic development that plugs into that.
And you know, as your guest, I'll take a point of privilege and just brag about what we've done on Beach Boulevard through our entertainment corridor, and some of our friends north and south of Buena Park on Beach notice the improvements and the great things that are happening with economic development, reduction in crime, and put a group together. And so kind of from the sea to the foothills with La Habra to the north and Huntington Beach to the south, we meet regularly, the mayors, the city managers, and we're putting together some awesome things, Jerry. So I cannot wait to report back if you should have me back.
I'll have you back.
What the things we have planned for that corridor to make it really that Route 66, that historic. You know, we need to brand it and make it something special in Orange County. And
you're bringing interesting stuff to Buena Park, Jim. I mean, you always had Knott's Berry Farm, right? That was there from the early days, and not in medieval times. It's been there for a long time. People know it. But there's other attractions coming there, and there's new restaurants, and there's happening places. So talk a little bit about. I know one of my colleagues' favorite places to go to Rock and Brews. He's there more than he's in his own home, and just loves it. And Porto's, of course, has become a great destination. But you've got some other stuff going on. Tell me about Butterflies. What are you doing with Butterflies?
So Butterflies is under construction, and you know, it's going to be this 50,000 square foot rainforest
50,000 square feet
atrium being manufactured as we speak in Northern Europe, and it'll be shipped over here to Buena
It's being made
Park.
in Europe and brought here?
Made in Europe
Are
and
you
shipped
kidding?
over here to Buena Park. So it's going to have a 300-seat IMAX theater.
Wow.
Some great eateries, and there's another 20,000 square foot space for a secondary entertainment use that we are in the planning process on right now with the owner of Butterflies, and so a lot of fun things coming. The Source is really coming together. Our 450,000 square foot mall, kind of the perfect storm, unfortunately. With the economy going down and retail kind of going down, the Source has successfully reinvented itself, and
Yeah, it
so
has, yeah.
come on in, check out some of the restaurants in there. They've got everything, top-notch, awesome restaurants.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of them. They really do have great food, and they really have sort of reshaped themselves. And it isn't just entertainment and shopping that you've been paying attention to, although I know that's a big tax base for the city. It generates income that allows you to have all those city services and help the kids that you're helping and do the things you're doing with the potholes in the parks. But you've also done more than your fair share with housing, too. You're building new homes, and talk about them because they're unique. They're not like your typical suburban community.
Yeah, we have, a lot of infill projects going on as we speak, but, we've really been, trying to work, with our other North Orange County cities on affordable projects and on homeless projects.
Yeah.
And we are in the works working with the 13 North Orange County cities to put some housing options together that will be workable for our residents, but also for our homeless community members.
Talk a little bit about that, problem that we think of Orange County is a really affluent place that doesn't have any problem, it doesn't have any poverty, it doesn't have any working poor. None of that is true. Every time you see a bus filled, it's a student or a working poor person who doesn't have a car who's traveling that way.
Right.
We have lots of pockets where we need to do a lot. But of late, homelessness has become a real issue across the entire country and certainly even here. And a lot of our cities all of a sudden found a federal judge saying you're going to do something with the homeless on the riverbed and on the streets. And you guys all of a sudden had new citizens, and you're no exception. Frank Kim, our county CEO, sent you a bunch of homeless people and said, here you go, Jim, you got 30 days to go to work with them. Tell us about it.
Right, so the county was tasked with clearing out the flood control channel, and so they scrambled, and so the temporary solution was to give them hotel vouchers. And so to your point, Jerry, we had upwards, I think, of 100 homeless in our city that were located temporarily. And Judge Carter, who you mentioned, really tasked all of Orange County's 34 cities to deal with this, not just the county of Orange. And in as much as there is a hammer to this, and really, the issue there is a potential loss of enforcement of our anti-camping ordinances.
Yeah, I think we should talk about that a little bit, because Judge Carter, as a federal judge, was really saying, look, we've got this endemic problem that's huge. County, I don't think you've done enough about it, and I want all the 34 cities to work with you. And here's what I'm going to do if you don't. There was a hammer in the background that was really the sort of the nudge. You guys are going to do this, and no city wants to lose the right to enforce their laws. So talk about the law.
Judge Carter certainly got our attention, and he's an amazing gentleman, and I've been privileged to be in his courtroom a number of times in the last couple months.
Dave's a brilliant guy.
And but there really is some jeopardy for the homeless folks. They have nowhere to go, and then they could potentially get arrested for camping. And so the judge is saying if they got nowhere to go, then you have to let them sleep on your parkways, sidewalks, everywhere around your city. In front
Which
of
is not
City Hall,
a good thing for them
parks.
or for your citizens.
Absolutely. And so we want our residents to understand that that's kind of the context in which we're working. However, Jerry, what's been enlightening, I think, for all of us countywide is that our reaction of compassion. And so I really applaud, the policymakers that are really stepping up and not just reacting to the hammer, but they're reacting to this kind of human crisis. And, we are looking seriously, not just seriously, we've got sites identified, and we're going to be engaging the community on this dialogue. And so it's been a really amazing exercise that I think Orange County will be kind of the spotlight or the example of how things are done right, like everything else we do in this county.
Yeah, it's true. And by the way, Judge, we're giving you a hard time. We're talking about your hammer, but we also know you're doing it in a compassionate way, and that you're working with the cities and with the county. If you really wanted to be heavy-handed, you could have been already, and you're not. You're just sort of keeping the heat to everyone's feet to make sure that everybody is carrying their fair share of the load. And
we are responding.
And kudos to all the city managers and the mayors who have stepped up to. They're all trying to do their best and figure out how to do this. This isn't a problem of their making. Largely, it's a product of state policy. We emptied out a bunch of prisons with people, and they had had no place to go. We had state policies that began back in the Reagan era where we stopped doing something for the mentally ill, and now they were all on the street. We had a huge recession that threw a bunch of people out of work, and there were a lot of people that were one paycheck away from homelessness, and that combination of the perfect storm of confluence of all those events led to a huge crisis, and you guys are stepping up and you're doing something about it. I appreciate it. And you're doing it in a way also in which you're still keeping the quality of your communities. I tell people all the time we got 34 different communities and people pick them for a reason. Right. I mean, you're an entertainment center and you're also a great hometown, and there are some cities that are coastal and they have those assets, and some that are in the foothills and you can hike out of your backyard. And so, I mean, I think you're all different, but you're all working at it.
And I think all of these variables can coexist.
I think they can, yeah.
Well planned.
So when you're looking out now, you're talking to your 34 colleagues in those secret meetings you have in smoke-filled rooms quietly at night, and you don't tell anybody about, and you all conspire with what you're going to do to us citizens. I know you guys are the ones with all the power. They hold the paycheck. I mean, they got that check. What are you talking about? What do you see across the future beyond solving those kinds of issues and doing the good job you always do with public safety? What do you see coming to Orange County that we can expect to see? I know there's a lot of collaboration among you to share services and to be more efficient in things that you're doing. Talk a little bit about what you think is coming in the next decade or so in city management.
Well, certainly affordable housing is a big issue.
Yeah, huge.
And so, so many of our residents, their kids that are, police officers, teachers, just, they have no place to live. And so
they can't afford to live here.
Right. So they're commuting out from, far distances. And so, housing is huge. Yeah. And, and so we're looking at how we tackle that without housing resources that we used to have prior to the demise of redevelopment. Also pension reform, Jerry, and I know that you dealt with that as an elected official for a long time, and we keep having the same dialogue, but again, Orange County is really on the forefront of that discussion, and it's a big issue for us still.
Yeah, so that you have a little framework for this. Many years ago we decided that we were going to try to step up on public employee pensions, and so we gave formulas at a time when we thought the predictions were correct. What happened to the economy, so like everything else that suffered, and the cities are now getting faced with these huge bills because you have all the baby boomers, right? Like every other industry, all your baby boomers are retiring. They put in their 30 years of service. We're not all young like you. And so, and we're cashing out, and it's putting a huge financial burden on the cities at a time when they're already strained. So what are you guys doing about that? Because you are being innovative. How are you tackling the problem of meeting those pensions and still keeping cops on the street and firefighters in the firehouses?
It's just very delicate budget discussions every year, 2 years. Just last night, Jerry, the city council voted to take a big chunk of our reserve and stick it in a 115 trust to deal with the pension spike that's coming in 2024-25. We aren't even there yet. We aren't even at the pinnacle of where PERS projects this crisis really is going to go. You're seeing some cities put on some ballot measures to try to deal with the crisis, but again, every city is a little bit unique in how they're approaching it, but the dialogue is occurring in Orange County cities, and you don't see some of the other cities around the region kind of scrambling in LA County and San Bernardino, Riverside. My friends out that way. We're tackling it head on and we're dealing with it, and
Yeah, doing it 6 and 8 and 10 years ahead of time, which is what you guys always do. You look out across the horizon. One of the unique things about Orange County, I think, Jim, and I'd like your reaction to this and tell me if you agree, we're dense, right? We got, and I don't mean dense stupid, I mean dense really tightly bundled, because we're a very small footprint. When you look at the map and look at the size of our county, it's not very big geographically, but it's got 3.2 million people. It's bigger than 22 of our United States. So, I mean, it's a tight population of a lot of people, but because we're so close geographically, you 34 guys can get together, and your councils can meet and mingle, and you can talk about ideas, and you tend to get ahead of the curve. And so you're looking out 8 years down the road going, this is going to be a big problem in 2025, 2030. We need to start tackling it now, and you do. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. When you're in LA County, you're so spread out, right? To get from one end of the valley to the beach is an hour trek. You know, you can't get together that easily for lunch.
Well, I was talking to our city clerk since you brought it up about the election, and so they still physically bring all of their election materials anywhere in the county to Norwalk, which is where their registrar is.
Is that right? They physically bring them in?
So if you're in Lancaster and you're the election official, you're bringing down, that's why it takes so long to get election results out of LA County.
God,
so Malibu, I mean, think about the,
Cece's
size of
telling
that county.
Cece's telling us we're running out of time. We're going to stop
okay.
talking. But no,
We
we're
could talk for hours, Jerry.
going to keep talking. Let's talk about elections. You
Sure.
have something new going on in town that hasn't
We
happened
do.
at Buena Park. This isn't even
We
numbered
do.
year. So you're having an election. That's not unusual. But you're having a different kind of election. Talk a little bit about what's going on in Buena Park.
So, as a result of the federal and state voting rights acts, the city of Buena Park, like many Orange County cities, are going to voting districts.
Yeah.
So rather than at-large elections,
Yep.
we now, in Buena Park, and different cities set them up different ways, we have 5 districts in Little Buena Park. I mean, we've got 85,000 people, but
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
compared to like much larger cities that are known to have districts, like in LA or San Francisco, we now have districts.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you, lawyers. I'll do this on another show because Jim's a friend and I don't want to get him in the crosshairs. But thank you, lawyers, for that opportunity to screw up the way we govern our cities, right?
So really, we need to make sure that that we engage every sect of our community
Right.
in the voting process
Right.
to comply with state law. And so one of the largest factors in that is how people from different ethnic backgrounds
Get a chance to participate.
exactly,
right?
and
Yeah.
their candidate of choice
Right.
if they are successful. And so in Buena Park, we responded. We hired a demographer. We brought in a lot of experts and put together some map. Had a very public process and adopted these 5 districts. And
Yep.
so as a result, we have a majority Latino district. We have a district with a plurality of Asian Americans, and then 3 districts that really kind of more of a mix.
A blend, yeah.
And so we have some serious races this year.
Yeah,
as
and
a
the
result.
interesting thing for me is not so much the races or how that happens or who gets elected to represent, but it's the dynamic that changes in my view, right? If I've got a district that I'm running in, I only care about those 8 blocks, I care about those parks, I care about that fire station. That makes me nervous, Jim, as an elected official, a retired elected official. I when I was an elected official, was worried about every street was my street, every kid was my
Right.
kid, every block
Right.
was my block. When I only have to worry about 19 blocks to get reelected, you may tend to start looking inward only at your own district, and I don't know that that's a good dynamic for the 5 of them. So if you have to arm wrestle with your elected officials to have a broader view, is your job tougher now?
We'll see how this plays out, and I really applaud my bosses several years ago when they put together our plan. And a big part of those discussions is exactly what you're saying, Jerry, is that despite the fact that federal and state law require us to do this
Right.
without significant legal exposure,
Right.
we are going to look at the city as one city regardless of what district we represent.
Yeah.
So we hope that stays.
Good. I hope it. I know your council.
Yep.
I know those people. They're really terrific, and I'm hoping you keep that with this new election. You keep that same spirit that you've had for a while, because that's what's made Buena Park special. But if we make your job a little tougher, the U34 guys, when you get together at night smoking cigars and talking about how you're going to spend our money, you'll just have to conquer it. All right, I'm completely out of time. I've got Julie and Cece just nervous that I won't get the feature in and won't be able to tease next week's show, so I'm going to do it. So we're going to do Dumb Criminal this week, and I found a dumb criminal story for you that I just love. This one's about a cops in Utah chasing a guy on a motorcycle. It might turn out to be one of the easiest police chases ever in the books. Your cops would love to have a chase like this and be able to get a bad guy. So here's what happened. In West Jordan, Utah, a motorcyclist took off during a routine traffic stop by a cop. He just decided he was going to take off and leave the cop standing there. And so the cop jumps in his unit and chases him for a while. And then the cop cut the chase off and just stopped. And the guy got away. The guy's name was Brandon Briggs, and he may have thought he'd gotten away with it, but it turns out he ended up crashing the motorcycle that he was driving, and so he hoofed it home. And when he got home, he found police sort of waiting for him because the cop cut off the chase because he recognized Briggs and knew where he lived. When Briggs showed up at his home, he was actually on foot because he had crashed the bike. And he found a cop waiting there. Briggs is now being held on 3 felony counts: possession of a stolen vehicle, failure to stop at the command of an officer, and violation of parole and probation, because apparently he had already had some trouble in his life. The original traffic stop took place because the motorcycle didn't have proper tags, but it turns out he had stolen the bike without the proper tags. Whoops. And he was recognized by one of his neighbors who just went and said, I'll go park in his garage and wait for him. And when he gets home, I'll say, hey, how are you, Mr. Briggs? You're under arrest. Anyway, so there's your dumb criminal of the week. All you cops in Buena Park, you now need to know if you stop somebody and you recognize who they are, you just go home and wait for them. Thank you for coming to the show. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
Happy
You,
to
of
be
course,
here.
get another mug towards your collection.
I will take it. Thank you, Jerry.
And you can get one too if you have a dumb criminal story and send it in. You don't just have to be a guest on the show to get a mug. If you send us a story that we use on air,
Right.
we will send you a mug. We did that for Pam Gooderham. She's enjoying her mug, and we want you to as well. We will have another great guest like Jim. In future weeks, you'll get to see some people that I think you'll find interesting. I can't tell you who they are because we're working on closing them, but some state legislators, some people who are running for office, some business tycoons, lots of interesting people for you. And we're glad you come and join us every Wednesday. Have a great week until next Wednesday. Make good decisions, and we'll see you next week on Java with Jerry with somebody as bright as Jim.
There you go.
Cheers.
Cheers, Jerry. Thank you.